All right, everybody, welcome to Stogie 411. We are back here live, and today we got hopefully a funny guest. From what I'm seeing on Twitter, it should be a comical show, but probably be a little. What do you think, Gary? A few kicking the nuts tonight?
Yeah, I got a few of them, especially for young bucks.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you don't know the man that you see in the camera, it's Gary. He's from, make sure I pronounce this right, Gary, Emilio Cigars, correct?
That's it.
That's it. So we're going to sit back for the next hour, smoke. We're going to enjoy one of Gary's cigars. This is the AF2. And we're going to sit back, myself and Mikey, and chat with Gary and hopefully take some questions from the chat room and have a good time. So, Gary, why don't we just get this formality out of the way? Why don't you tell everybody about yourself and what you do?
Well, we make the Emilio cigars and the Grimalkin. We started the project about 5 years ago and started bringing our products to market last year and just are having fun with it. We work in a couple different factories and like to make good stuff in small quantities and have a good time with it. We're pretty dedicated to high quality stuff, and we're just hoping to get reasonably priced, decent cigars out there on the market that people will enjoy.
That's what we like to hear.
Sounds good to me.
Why don't you tell everybody, Gary, about the what cigars you have and a little bit about the blend? Matter of fact, why don't we start off with the AF2 that I'm smoking right now?
AF2 we make in the factory of A.J. Fernandez. We always call him Abdel. But great young man, really sharp, knows his tobacco. I mean, just inside and out, and a delight to work with. We began that about 2 years ago, talking about that particular blend. And as with most things that I do, I kind of come up with the base blend, and then at the end of it all, Abdel tells me what little tweaks we need to make to accomplish what I'm after and make it really nice. And the unique thing he came up with on that cigar was the use of the Pennsylvania Ligero in the filler, which was really nice. Uses an Ecuadorian Habano wrapper, and it's the second cigar in that series. Obviously, there was the AF1 first, which is an all Nicaraguan filler and binder. It uses a San Andres Maduro.
All right. Well, since we skipped the AF1, let's talk about that.
Yeah, that was the first blend we did with Abdel. San Andres Maduro wrapper, real slow fermentation, and no fussing around with the wrapper to get coloration or anything. Just naturally fermented wrapper. He does a great job for us as far as selecting the wrappers for color match and what have you, and the quality of the wrapper. We're just delighted with the quality of stuff we get out of that factory. So those are the first two cigars in that series. The next thing we'll throw out there for the public tonight is the next cigar that will come out of that factory will not be called the AF3. It will actually be called the AF Suave. And that will be our first venture into a lighter bodied cigar with Connecticut wrapper.
Sounds good for me.
Yeah, we're going to try to keep it at around the same price point. Come out with something. Obviously, a lot of what we've done so far has been geared toward the medium to full body range of smokers. So, at some point we felt that we needed to have something that had appeal to the lighter bodied smoker, but still was a real nice high quality cigar. So we went back to Abdel to do that project. And I think it should turn out very, very well. We'll be doing the final approval of the blends on the 18th. I'm back in Nicaragua.
Now, will they be available at all the stores that carry your cigars now?
Yeah, anybody that carries our stuff now will have access to that. As with most things we do, we'll ramp the production up kind of slowly We won't make a huge quantity of it initially. We'll get it out there in the marketplace and see how it fares. And if it does well, we'll bring production up. So it'll be one of those things where it won't be, we'll certainly make enough to make sure we make it available to everybody that carries our cigars at present. But, there won't be a terrible big bunch of it available initially.
So you basically, Gary, they just pulled an Apple. You know that, right? So you got the AF1, the AF2. And Apple, everybody thought was going to be the iPhone 5, and they said, nope, 4S. So now you say Suave, see?
And then we'll skip the 3 and we'll do the 4.1.1. How's that?
So since we're still on the AF1 and 2, we talked a little bit about that, and then the Suave, why don't you tell it, what's it like to work with AJ Fernandez?
He is a delightful young man, just absolutely full of knowledge, really passionate about his tobacco. And when you spend time with him, you can just see, it's remarkable the enthusiasm he has. I think you could literally, if you wanted to talk tobacco with AJ, he would do it 24 hours a day until he collapsed. He's just a great guy, real dedicated to quality of construction and appearance and what have you. And, I just can't say enough good things about him. He's a really, really great guy, young man. And a very lucky thing for me to have run into him and had the opportunity to work with him.
Now, are your production numbers you were saying about ramping up slowly, are they because the factory where you're producing them can't produce enough, or is it just something that you want to test the waters first and then slowly ramp to get a higher quantity out there for the public?
It's kind of a combination of the two, Mike. It's in part just testing things in the market, so you don't have a lot invested in something initially. Right. Hopefully we never make something that isn't well received in the market, but you never know. And so it's partly that, but also partly that he very graciously gives us production space in the factory, but we know he does a lot of things for a lot of people. And, he has to make time and room for us. And I just don't like to be one of those guys that comes in and says, hey, we're here, we want you to make this many or else sort of thing. We work with him the way that he's comfortable working, as opposed to just, coming in and saying, this is what we want it now. I'd rather work with a guy that's comfortable working with me and work with him in a way that keeps him comfortable.
Yeah, you end up getting a better quality stick that way.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And he doesn't like to rush. He likes to take his time with everything, and I'm fine with that. I'd rather from time to time say to people, hey, it's just not available because AJ wasn't happy with something, than to put stuff out on the market just to keep it cranking out. We want people to enjoy our stuff every time they smoke it. And we don't ever want to find ourselves in a position where we're compromising quality for volume.
Right. It's better to have a smoke that everyone enjoys than to have to rush it out, and then people start saying, the blend must have changed, or something doesn't taste right, or the quality's not there. It's your name on it, so you're better off putting what you feel is right out there.
Yeah, exactly. And I just think that's the right way to do things. And look, we have no big aspirations to making any gazillion number of sticks a year. We have no big goals. As I've said many times in the past, our aspiration is to make good cigars, and we'll ramp up until we get to the point where, we hit a comfort zone and we feel like going any bigger than that might cause us to compromise or whatever. That's the point at which we stop. That's where we stay.
Well, I commend you for that. That's good to know. So let's see. Besides your own cigars, Gary, who else do you smoke, and who are you enjoying this today?
Actually, today I'm smoking a test blend that we're going to be doing in a different factory from AJ, hopefully in the spring, which I think will be a nice new introduction. But I smoke across, as far as general smoking, I smoke across the board. There's a lot of great cigars out there over the last several years. There's been a lot of good tobacco available. There's a lot of small production brands out there that I just think are great stuff, and I like to support those kind of guys. I pretty much smoke anything across the board. It's not at all unusual for me to go in someplace, and if I'm in the mood for something that's not mine, I'll smoke that too. I don't mind at all. There's just so much good stuff out there. I'm very fond of Pete Johnson's stuff. Very fond of the stuff that Beyond does. I smoke a lot of Viaje stuff. Pretty much all anything that comes out of the My Father factory.
Right.
I like AJ's Stan Latano stuff a lot. I think that oval he has is just an absolute kick-ass winner of a cigar. I like boutique stuff. I recently had the good fortune of meeting Clint Aaron and Sean Williams, from 262 and El Premier Mundo. I really like their stuff, and I've been smoking a lot of it. So, I'm like anybody else. I like to try it all. There's so much good stuff out there. Why get stuck in a rut?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I've been saying it. It's like over and over. Everybody's probably tired of hearing me saying it. It's a perfect time right now to be a cigar smoker. I don't care what your palate is like. There's something for everyone. There really is.
Absolutely. I agree 100%. And good tobacco and people doing really good stuff.
Yep, I agree.
I'm working with the screen mic, so.
Yeah, I see we're having a little bit of problem, people. I don't know what's going on, but we're having some problems. So just hang in there with us, and we'll get it resolved. And it looks like Young Buck backed out on you, Gary. Either that or, his mom had to put him to bed already. I don't know.
Nah, you should be over fluffing the pillows, because if we're ending this at like around 8 o'clock, it gives him enough time to fly out here and fluff the pillows.
Oh, that could be. That could be. He definitely gets the first kick in the nuts. There's no doubt about that one.
Yeah.
So, speaking of cigar, do you have a favorite size, and if so, which one?
I'm real partial to Toro size cigars for the most part. That just seems to be the thing that over the years I kind of stuck to. When I first started smoking cigars seriously years ago, my go-to everyday cigar was the Fuente 858. And I've just always kind of stuck with that size.
Okay. Well, why don't we do this? I'm going to take a question we got emailed to us from one of our viewers who had a question. I'll say it's a two-part question. How's that? A, he wanted to know, have you kicked Jerry in the nuts yet over his review at Stogie Review? And then B, he says he hasn't gotten to try the AF yet. Is there any chances of you expanding your retailer network out west?
Well, to answer the first question, Jerry's gotten numerous virtual kicks in the nuts, but I'm reserving the actual kicks in the nuts for the next time I see him. I might have to make a special drive about 2 hours south just to get that accomplished.
You won't have to take your foot very high off the ground.
That is true, and at my advanced age, the fact that he is so short will make it much easier and less strenuous on me. No, I like Jerry a lot. He's a great guy. To answer the second part, we did just take on an independent sales rep in the Northwest, and we're currently talking to someone in the Southwest. We currently have only one account in California. I'm hoping to expand that. But if we have the good fortune of getting this very nice young man that's considering doing the Southwest territory for us, yes, we'll have stuff out that way. We do not have the upper Midwest covered yet, but I've been talking to one or two people about potentially doing that territory. So we're doing our best to get it out there. But, finding the right people, I mean, for me, it's got to be not just a matter of a guy's a sales rep who wants to sell the cigars. It's got to be a guy I feel comfortable working with, and that I can have a hell of a lot of fun with. Because that's what I want these guys to do, is have fun with the brand, not just make it daily delivery.
Right. Well, there you go, Jeff. I hope you like your answer you got. And then I just happened to go look in the chat here, Gary, and it says that the new age cigar smoker is actually Young Buck.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he is in the chat room.
Why the hell did he change? What's he? New age cigar smoker? What's he like? You know, got candles burning and crap like that, or whatever.
That's his other personality. That's who that is.
Oh, okay.
He'll be all happy. He'll think he's famous now. We're talking about him on the show. He'll be all happy. He should be in bed, but we'll let it go. So, all right, on with the show, Mike. You have anything for Gary? I'm gonna make sure I'm not running the show here.
Yeah, so I've been working on and make sure my wife was off and make sure the stream's working all right. Well, anyway, let's ask.
Go ahead.
You were saying about expanding. I had that question too. Do you have any plans to expand even farther to go like with more online stores, the online dealers? Or are you going to stay brick and mortar? And are you going to try to go nationwide?
Ultimately, Mike, we would like to be nationwide, and obviously that depends on our capacity to produce cigars. We don't want to open more retailers than we can comfortably supply. I'm pretty dedicated to the brick and mortar tobacconists. My general rule of thumb thus far has been that somebody has to have a brick and mortar storefront of some sort. And I don't mind if those folks do ship and sell, but as far as going to strictly online retailers, at this point, frankly, we just wouldn't have this production to do that. And I don't know, I guess maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I think there's a bit of a difference. I think there's value to the experience. If you're in a good brick and mortar and they've got a good staff and they're knowledgeable and they're helping you out, I think there's value to that. And I don't always think that price is everything. Like I say to people a lot of times, if you think price is the whole thing and there's no value to the experience and you don't want to interact with people and do that, well, the next time you need a haircut, of course not in Corey's case, but people that actually get haircuts, order it online. It's just not the same.
Hey.
It's just not the same.
Those bastards are evil in person.
Yeah.
Let's see. Leo, Brother Leaf's got a question for you, Gary, in the chat room. He wants to know if you're planning any events near Charlotte in the near future.
In the very near future, I will be in Charlotte on, I believe, it is either the 30th and 31st of this month or the 31st and the 1st. I can't remember at this moment what I promised Tom I'd do, but yeah, we're going to go spend a couple days in the Charlotte area. Just prior to that, I'll be traveling with Nate McIntyre, and I think he's got 3 days of stuff scheduled. I think a couple in the Nashville area and one in Alabama, and then that'll be my first world tour.
Okay. Let's see. Rich has a question there. He wants to know, are the Coronas still scheduled for release soon?
The Coronas of the Grimalkin are in production. We're probably, I was hoping for probably around Christmas, but I suspect, as with most things that happen in this, when you're a small production outfit, that we may be delayed a little bit beyond that. But yeah, we're going to do a Corona and the Grimalkin in a 10-count box, try to keep it affordable, and something where somebody can grab a box of it. I do think that blend will be real nice in a Corona size.
Okay, there you go, Rich. There's your answer. And speaking of Rich, we're going to take a second here. We want to give a thanks to our sponsors who keep our show going ad-free. So we want to give a shout-out to East Coast Cigars. Make sure you stop over there and check them out. And also a shout-out to Rodrigo Cigars thanks to these two great sponsors, you're able to watch us totally ad-free every show. So we want to thank both of those guys again.
Oh, does East Coast Cigars have your line, Gary?
Oh yeah, he was actually one of the earliest people to come on board with us, and has done I think quite well with it, and we're happy with him. He's all the time out there promoting it and willing to send them to people. And there's a perfect example. He's got his base front of operations there. But he'll ship fibers to people and what have you, and that's been good because it has helped to get things out, and a couple of other retailers do as well.
Yeah, he just said in the chat, he said order from him. He has free shipping. So
there you go.
People run.
Run, hurry.
All right. What the cigar blogger world, Gary? Do you check out the blogger sites, and do you think it's a help or a hindrance to the industry?
Personally, I think the blogger sites have been a real asset to the industry. And in part, I think that's because, in our kind of fast-paced world, people are on the go. People are looking for information. There's more information readily accessible to people, and I think the bloggers have done a great service to the industry providing that. And I think that I can't tell you how often here, I'll see people coming around in shops and guy's got his smartphone on, and he's reading a blogger review and comes in and shows it to you and says, hey, I'm reading about this cigar. It sounds great. I'd like to try it. I think it's been a real asset, and I try to keep track of what's going on the blogger site, and I just think it's been a great asset to the industry. It's, everybody's looking for information quick, easy, and how much easier can it be than do a quick search and find that cigar you're interested in on a blog, and it piques your interest, and you can't carry all the magazines around with you in your pocket, but you can stuff your smartphone in there and have access to all the same information. So I think the bloggers have been a big component of that, and I think they've contributed a lot to the education of the consumer. I see consumers coming into shops that are more and more well informed and have better questions about products, or more knowledgeable about products. And I think particularly with small brands like my own, I can't afford to spend tons of money on ads and what have you, and it's a great way to get the information out of that product.
Yeah, I agree with you on that as well. Looks like we're frozen up again. Looks like we don't know who's having a problem, what's going on, if it's Ustream or Skype, but just bear with us. We're going to continue the show going on, and we'll get through it and work through it. Unfortunately, we can't control that aspect of everything. Hey, Gary, let me ask you this. Before you got into the industry, what did you do? What were you doing before you got in the industry?
Done a lot of things. Mostly always worked for myself. I did my time in the military like a lot of guys do. And, when I was finished with that, I was in the jewelry business for a while, and then a friend and I did some construction business work for several years. And, when I got out of that, I had the opportunity to work at a cigar shop, and I thought that'd be pretty cool to do, a few hours a week. And very quickly realized that they weren't achieving their potential, and so I kind of became the lead force in expanding that organization. And in the process of that, I met a lot of really great folks and had some great opportunities. But mostly, I've always worked for myself, or just done things that interested me. I'm a crazy bird watcher. I spent a few years running around chasing birds all over the United States just so I could have a long life list, because I don't have much else that's going to give me any claims to having anything long.
Yeah.
Now you work Delaware Cigars, right? That's the name
Yes.
of the company now. And I guess you oversee the cigars for what, 24 stores now?
It's 24 stores. When I first came into the business, there were 2 stores, and that the owner of that business opened a third, and then that was sold out and gobbled up by a slightly larger chain, and those folks asked me to stay on. And at that point, we had 16 stores, and then about 9 months ago, we acquired a chain of 9 additional stores. And so now we're up to 24. We did close one of those, originally 25, and one of them was closed up because we had a number of stores in that market area. And basically, I just manage the retail operations. I do all the buying and pricing and what have you. And they're very, very nice people to work for and work with. And they very graciously allowed me to do my little cigar brand very often on their time. And they're happy with that because I'm producing for them with the stores. And it all works out good.
Yeah, that's what I was leading into. I wanted to see how it worked with your cigars and the stores, and if all that coalesced together, or if it's going to come to a point where you're going to have to pick and choose. You know, if you're going to just have to do your cigars and leave the stores, or if they're comfortable with you doing both.
At some point, I would suspect that at some point as the brand grows, I'll have to become more and more focused on that. And I have had some talks with a real sharp young man who I think at some point will probably come in to take over as general manager of retail operations. I'll probably still keep a hand in it in some way. But at some point, yeah, I can see I'll probably have to shift the majority of my focus.
Sharp young man. I don't remember talking to you, Gary. I don't remember talking to you about that position.
It was Young Buck.
Yeah. The butter knife. I can't believe you used Sharp and him in the same sentence.
All right. Let's take another question from the chat room. Leo's got another question. He says, "Do you enjoy any other types of tobacco, pipes, chews, etc.?"
Not really. Years ago, I did try smoking a pipe on and off. I guess I just never got the hang of it. I was one of those kind of guys that just always ended up with that burning feeling on the tip of my tongue when I tried smoking a pipe, and probably because I was inept. But mostly it's just been cigars, and I really enjoy it. Let's face it, there's so much diversity and stuff out there. You can go on forever and never try everything. So, yeah, for me, it's pretty much all cigars all the time.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I never tried a pipe. Everybody's like, "Yeah, you got to try it once." I'm like, "Yeah, maybe when I'm like 70, I might give it a shot." But right now, I have no interest in it.
Well, I got 500 years on you.
Yeah, and well, there you see. When I hit your age, then I'll try it.
Yeah. When you get to be 596, you give it a try then.
Now, what are your thoughts on these full-bodied, kick-you-in-the-nuts cigars that people are coming out with? Do you think that they're going to continue on, and people are going to continue to buy these smokes, or is it just something of a fad?
I think there will always be a place for those in the markets, and I think it's like anything else. You know, yeah, there's probably a point at which it'll peak out, and people will back off a little bit. I've seen a few folks coming into our stores that we're really into the super full-bodied stuff for quite a while, and are now kind of trying to find stuff with a little more complexity, a little more going on. But there's nothing wrong with it. There's got to be something for everybody. I mean, if we all smoked the same, or enjoyed the same thing, Baskin Robbins would only have one flavor. So, if a guy enjoys a real full-bodied cigar that knocks him out, hey, more power to him. And, I say the same thing about, like, flavored and infused stuff. A lot of guys in the industry kind of poo-poo that stuff, but, we're all cigar smokers, and in the end, we're all fighting the same battle. And it's supposed to be about enjoyment. It's supposed to be about relaxation. It's not supposed to be about what the guy next door thinks. So, if you like something, stick with it. If that's what you like.
Yep, I agree with you. Do you have this is a tough question. Most people are going to say, I think you're going to say what I think you'd say. Do you have a favorite cigar in your line?
In my line?
Yes.
I believe it or not, I'll say yes to that. I'm real partial to the Grimalkin.
Okay, which one is it?
The Grimalkin Toro.
Okay, there you go. Well, you know what? Usually everybody says, I like them all.
Yeah.
So I respect that answer. I like that answer.
Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you why. Because when we do cigars, the AF series, I tried to blend and work with AJ to come up with things that would find a home in the marketplace. And with the Grimalkin, I was looking for something that was designed very, very specifically to my likes. And so, yeah, I have to say that's actually in the stuff I do. That's my favorite because it's the one so far that I really blended or worked with them to come up with something that suited my particular preferences.
Rich is asking the same question I asked you. Are you in the maintenance closet?
It is world headquarters. It says it on the door. Now look, just because it's only 20 square feet, it's not a big deal. Someday it'll be a spacious 22 square feet.
Oh, Christ. All right, I'll ask. Here's a question I like to ask. What's your thoughts on the cigars being produced in, let's say, Nicaragua, Dominican Republic, et cetera, compared to the Cubans today? And what are your thoughts on what will happen when the embargo, if the embargo is lifted?
My impression of the occasional Cuban cigar that I've been gifted is that, of course, this is a small sample size, so it may not be a legitimate conclusion to reach, but the stuff I've been gifted the last several years, in my view, hasn't had the quality of construction that I'm seeing out of the Dominican and Nicaraguan and Honduran manufacturers. And again, that's a small sample size. It's just the things that I've occasionally been gifted, and it could be just a function of that. As far as when the embargo's lifted, yeah, there are going to be those folks that want to have them and believe that the Cuban cigars are the thing to smoke, and that's all well and good. But truthfully, I believe if a cigar is well blended and well made, and it suits your palate, what does it matter where it came from? What does it really matter? Again, it goes back to it's supposed to be about enjoyment and smoking things that you like. I smoke cigars. I don't smoke bands, and I think an awful lot of people smoke bands. And that's not what I'm about, and that's not what the stuff we manufacture is about. I want to make cigars that people enjoy smoking. I know I take a little ribbing from time to time on my simplistic band designs, but to me that's not what it's all about. I don't, I've said this many times, and my perfect example I use for this is, the Grand Kahuna that Pete Johnson makes. If the band's what makes the cigar, how come I can sell Pete's Grand Kahuna with no bands every day of the week at what's not a cheap price point? It's a fabulous smoke, and people buy it because it's a fabulous smoke. Those are the kind of people I want to make cigars for.
Now, could you see down the road if something, and we keep bringing up this Cuba thing, everybody keeps talking about it, and I still haven't seen anything really going forward with it, but if something would happen, could you see? I'm not sure if you had any chances to check out any tobacco from Cuba or not, but could you see incorporating any of that into your line of cigars somehow?
I don't see why not if you found the right tobacco and you liked it, because that's what I like to do. I like to find tobacco that I enjoy and find a way of working with it. So yeah, certainly. I mean, if the possibility ever came about to work with Cuban tobacco, why not? If I found something I liked and it worked well with something else and it would produce a great cigar, I think that would be a great thing.
Cool.
You got any plans on making smaller smokes, Gary? Leo wants to know in the room. Besides the Corona coming out, is there anything else? Maybe a Lancero?
I don't know. That's hard to say. You stop and think about the percentage of the number of cigar smokers that are out there and the percentage of people that actually know how to smoke a cigar like that properly.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it's a great shape to roll. It's fabulous with great tobacco. But for me right now, I think I'm going to stick mostly to, the core sizes that are popular where I can satisfy the greatest number of smokers. And then I think going forward, we'll adapt some of the blends to some other sizes and maybe some unique shapes. And then we'll just do those all as limited runs for now. One of the things as a guy that's worked in the retail business for a long time that I find that happens is, it comes to the point where you can have so many sizes that the retailer can no longer fit them in. So I think for now I'm going to stick with the basic sizes that we tend to produce, and if I do other sizes, they'll probably just be one-offs or occasional production items.
Now that leads into this for you, with you being in the retail end of it also. I've been hearing, and I've actually seen it in cigar shops, where a lot of the smokers in the United States anyway are going bigger and bigger, where the 60 ring gauge, 64s even, things like that are selling really, really well. Do you see that in your line of work, and do you have any plans? Do you think bringing out some of the larger ring gauges would help your line?
I don't know. It's a pretty small market segment. I don't think, the biggest thing we make right now is that 58 ring F series. And I think that's, 58 or 60 is probably as big as I would envision it. Who knows? Who knows? You never know what the future will bring. You never say never. I mean, I might run into some tobacco someplace one time where I decide, wow, this would work really cool in a great big fat cigar, and maybe we'll do it.
Now, have you seen?
Hey, someone's robbing you behind you.
Yeah, I saw somebody behind.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, that'll start happening a lot here now because they're getting ready to close the retail side, so they'll start coming in, counting their money, and making a lot of money.
That's all right, as long as they're counting money, not taking money.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see their hands the red to the pocket.
Yeah, you guys just, from your perspective, just get that on videotape for me so I can catch it.
We got you covered.
I see them selling. I mean, we recently put in a 7x70 in the stores, and it's selling well. I mean, there are people that like it. We don't have anything in the stores. I don't recall at the moment that's any bigger than that. But there are guys buying it on a regular basis.
Wow. Crazy. Let's see. Ryan's got a question. We'll get into a little fun here. He wants to know, where did the whole name Gary is a Vampire thing come from?
I'm trying to remember. I think it really came from that picture that my son took that I use on the webpage. And somebody on Twitter one day said, "Oh my God, it looks like an old vampire on the website." And I think it kind of just took a life of its own from there.
Oh, crap.
In fact, if I remember correctly, it may have been a group of people that Ryan's associated with that began that.
Ah, well, there you go, Ryan. There's your answer.
Yeah, give us more questions for Gary. Come on.
Yeah. Well, let's see. I promised Griff I got to do it. So Gary, I'm gonna ask you this, and this is the first time I allowed this question because he's off the chart with it. It's got nothing to do with cigars, but you know what? I think you're the right guy and the right personality to answer this. So this is what I'm going to ask you per General Griff. He wants to know, you're stranded on an island. You got to kill one, marry one, and have sex with one. It's Oprah, Barbara Walters, or your girlfriend or wife that you have now. Which one in the order?
Well, I don't have a wife now, so is suicide an option?
Yes, we'll throw that in. Suicide is an option, but you got to choose the other two. Go ahead, choose them.
Oh Lord, I think I'm going to be sick. Is that a good enough answer?
Griff, that's your answer. He's going to be sick, and that's it. There you go. He's sitting there in his whole glory now, knowing that I finally answered that. I refused all the other times, but I said, "This Gary's got the personality. This is the one. This is where I ask."
Oh, well.
So, all right. There you go, Griff. That's all you're getting, buddy. You're getting that. He's killing himself. He's not doing any of them.
Now, you know we haven't talked about?
What haven't we talked
your
about?
Series H.
Yes.
Yes. Let's talk about that one.
Series H actually is the first two blends that we did. They were done in the Placencia factory. And the Sumatra is an Ecuadorian Sumatra. We actually use a mix of Nicaraguan and Honduran fillers on that cigar, but it's got a Connecticut binder, which kind of smooths it so you don't get quite as much of a spice build as you get in time. It seems to me anyway to keep the spice more consistent throughout the cigar instead of building toward the end. And then the Maduro, we actually use a little Costa Rican Maduro even in the filler on that because I really like that chocolatiness that you get out of Costa Rican tobacco. I just think that's wonderful. And when I first had the opportunity to fuss around with some Costa Rican Maduro tobacco, I just loved it. So I had to find it. Just work with it. So the Series H Maduro came out of that.
Having a little
we're
audio
definitely
problems.
Yeah, we're definitely having a Ustream problem. There's, like I said before, there's nothing we can do with it. So just grin and bear it with us, please. So, Gary, what's next for Emilio Brands? What's next? Besides, we know you got something you're smoking today that you really can't go into yet. But what's new in your future? What do you see? Where do you see yourself?
I'd like to produce a few more cigars in the factories we currently work with. I have two other factories that have recently indicated that they'd be willing to work with us to create some stuff there, and I'm kind of excited about that. I think not every factory has the same tobacco or what have you, and so for me that's kind of exciting. Spread it out a little bit, and work with some great people in the industry in different factories, and that's kind of where I see us going. I see us continuing to work with the folks who have so graciously worked with us so far and doing things with them, but also expanding the line out a little bit laterally by working in some other factories as well and just making a better diversity of product mix.
Hey, you just saw Rich.
Yeah, I just saw Rich's question.
Now, she's not cheating on you, Rich. Take the value.
Rich, do I a little hint of jealousy there? It sounds like.
Yeah, it sounds like it. Actually, she's a great girl, and she has been the one-person promotional team for the Grimalkin cigar. She really loves it, and goes around and talks it up everywhere. And she's a real fun person. Yeah, very creative, and has been very supportive. And I consider her.
I invited all the girls. I made sure I went on Twitter and said, listen, we need some Sisters of the Leaves in there tonight. Get in here. Come on. And apparently Rob and I must have scared them away with our conversation prior to going live. But that's great. Oh well.
Well,
Everybody's still
we'll
playing.
throw a little bone in here. CRA. Do you have any opinion on the organization? Do you think it's a worthwhile venture? Do you think it's something that's going to slowly fade away and everybody's going to be back to being on their own again?
I don't really see everybody kind of being on their own again. I mean, I'm glad that there's a national organization to kind of keep track of things and advocate on our behalf. Let's face it, we get attacked from every possible side, and I think you have to have some sort of national organization. And let's face it, it's a relatively young organization, and like anything else, it's going to grow over time. It's going to change over time. Will they make some mistakes? Probably. Will they do some great things? Yes, probably. And if they do make mistakes from time to time, hopefully they learn from them and we all go forward. But I'm glad to see that there's a national organization looking out for our interests. I'd like to see the state chapters, so to speak, be a little more active on their own state levels. I know, one of the problems we face here in Delaware. I'm the CRA ambassador here in Delaware, but unfortunately, as much time as I'd like to give to it, unfortunately, I have 24 stores to run and a lot of employees and a brand to keep track of, and I can't possibly give it as much attention as I'd like to. But when we had the proposal here in Delaware to raise the tobacco tax several months ago, we mobilized the forces and we managed to kill it at least for a while. And were it not for at least CRA having brought the idea of banding together into broad public awareness, I think that may not have been possible.
Right.
Now, Delaware, you said Delaware does have a cigar tax, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That always, I thought so, and it just because everybody here, while I'm in Pennsylvania, and everybody here would always say, oh, you want to buy a big ticket item, go to Delaware, because you just don't have any sales tax.
Right. And of course, what tends to happen is that the no sales tax thing is a big appeal to a lot of people. Again, yet on big ticket items, I'm sure you see that a lot. It's not a real high tobacco tax. Our dilemma is, with the number of stores we have, that in Delaware, if they were to jump the tobacco tax way up, I mean, pretty much us and a handful of other people are it. And you could very easily cripple the entire industry in the state. And we're I think, under any definition, we're still considered a small business. And I think one of the mistakes that the states tend to make is in their zeal to get tax revenues. We've got all these people out here, all these politicians talking, oh, we've got high unemployment, and we need to create jobs. Well, you know what? Why not try not killing hundreds of them with these silly taxes once in a while? To me, it's crazy when you hear a politician say, unemployment is terrible, and we've got all these people out of work, and we've got to create jobs, and we've got to do this, we've got to do that. And then in the very next breath say, oh, and by the way, we're going to destroy jobs in this sector of the economy. To me, there's just no logic to that.
I agree. I 100% agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you too. Come on up to New York and talk about taxes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I bitch about it all the time.
Taking a hammer.
Yeah. Let's see. A Beatty cigar smoker. He has a question, Gary. When you're deciding on a blend, is there a particular size that you use to say this is the format, this is the blend we want?
Normally, because I enjoy the Toro and it's kind of my size cigars, we normally blend first to the Toro. And I think in the U.S. market, which is obviously the only market we're focused on at the moment, that works quite well because it's kind of in the center of the size range of what most folks smoke. So, if you blend to a Toro, you have a little less adjustment to do to go down to a Robusto or a Corona and up to a larger ring gauge size. I know traditionally in the industry, I think an awful lot of folks blend to the Corona, and if I had the massive amount of skill and experience that the guys that are actually working every day in these factories have, I might be able to blend to a Corona and then turn that into a 660. But, to me, for the sizes we tend to produce, it just makes more sense to blend first to the Toro and just blend just more to do the sizes.
Yes, I will tell Ryan, yes, I do live in one of 2 states with no tobacco tax. I think Pennsylvania and Florida, I believe, are the only 2.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I live in one of 2 states with the highest tobacco tax.
Yeah, we have. Well, and like Gary, you were talking about, with the small businesses and the cigars, that's there's a good and bad thing to having the online stores. Most of them are based here in Pennsylvania, so when anything comes up about cigar tax, the first thing they say is, "You put a cigar tax in, we're moving." And
yes,
we've gotten the cigar tax shut down a lot because of the big online companies that we have here with like you said, I mean, if they leave, all those people are going to be unemployed, or else they're going to have to move out of the state.
Yeah, and it's not that I have, again, I'm a very dedicated brick and mortar tobacconist. I certainly don't begrudge any business person starting a business and profiting from it and managing it the way they choose to. My big issue, obviously, with our brand, given the volume of production we can do, I mean, we want to be scattered around the country in brick and mortars, and that's what we're able to produce. That's kind of where we're going to be for a while.
Yeah, I could understand. I mean, there's some cigars that for the online shops, I mean, the manufacturers can make millions of some of these cigars, and I could see that for an online dealer. But like you said, for your smaller boutique line, I think it's perfect in the brick and mortar. It gives you a first-hand experience. The shop owner can tell you, how they felt about the cigar, and people can even get to meet you once you start doing your world traveling around for all your events.
Oh, those poor bastards. Now that's a lot of fun. I do have fun with that, because I really enjoy meeting people and talking about cigars. I just sat in a shop in Pennsylvania the other morning. It was a great morning to just spend sitting around with a bunch of guys shooting a breeze about cigars and having a good time. And it's a lot of, the interesting thing I find in this industry is that when you get a bunch of cigar smokers together in a room, everybody's the same. Everybody's the same, I have a favorite story of a customer that used to come in our stores that worked in a junkyard. And we used to bug him to hang around for events. And one night he said to me, he said, I appreciate that you keep inviting me, but I'm not going to fit in with these guys. And I said, Jimmy, you don't get it, man. Once you get in a room with a bunch of cigar smokers and everybody lights up, everybody's the same. Everybody has a good time. And it's just, people from all walks of life. It's the only, if you want to call it that, category of people I've ever met in my life where you can get so many people from so many divergent backgrounds, so many socioeconomic statuses, you name any number of variables, and you cram all those people who have absolutely nothing in common together in a room, and they have a blast because they share one really passionate common interest. And it's such a cool thing.
No, yeah, definitely. I agree with you on that one. Let's see here. Joe's got a question for you. He wants to know, is there any new rapper ideas? You got any new rappers you're playing with, messing with, going to come out with?
Well, as I said before, we are keen with doing our first Connecticut. We have actually looked at a Colombian rapper, which we have prototyped, and I think I may end up putting into production next year, which is a really delicious rapper. We just got to come up with the right filler combination to make it all work. I like to find unusual things. I'll be walking around in the peelings of tobacco, and every once in a while I'll stumble across something and go, "Oh my God, smell that! That is so cool. We got to find a way to work with that." That's the kind of stuff we like to do. But yeah, we are working with a Colombian tobacco right now.
Nice. Well, let's see. Anybody have any more questions? We're just about at our hour mark with Gary, and I know that we pretty much have asked him what we had in line. So anybody got any other questions? We'll give it a minute or so. And if not, we'll thank Gary for coming on, taking the time out of his busy schedule to hang out with us two idiots. And actually, Gary, we'll do this. Before we go, I'm going to give you the opportunity now to give out your Kicking the Nuts awards. So you want to give any out to the chat room or anybody who's not in the chat room?
Oh, yeah, definitely Kicking the Nuts to Young Buck and to Jerry Cruz in particular. and just for shits and giggles, we'll give one to Cigar Nate, too.
All right, there we go. There's your 3 Kicking the Nuts tonight. So hope you guys enjoyed them. Yeah. All right, well, it doesn't appear that we have any more questions unless you have anything else, Mikey.
No, I am good to go. I think it was great having Gary on the show. It was real informative.
Absolutely.
And hopefully everybody enjoys it, and the video will be up, just like all the other ones, so you'll get to enjoy Gary for years to come.
Oh, my God. Hey, thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
The pleasure was all ours, man. Thanks for taking the time out of your busy schedule to hang out with us. Really, we appreciate it very much, and you're welcome back anytime.
Yeah, it was a blast. Let's do it again.
All right. Well, you have a good evening, Gary. We'll let you go. Thanks, buddy.
Later, Gary.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye-bye. All right. Well, that was Gary from Emilio Cigars. Really down-to-earth guy. Follow him on Twitter. It's at Emilio Cigars. Really funny guy on Twitter. Ball buster. Loves to have fun. So appreciate everybody in the chat room coming in. As always, sorry for the Ustream. Apparently, Ustream was having problems all night, but unfortunately, that's out of our hands. We can't do anything about it. But nice to see some new faces in the chat room tonight, huh?
Yeah, it was. And I will apologize right now. Well, we are really lagged. We still have Gary on the Ustream feed, I believe. Oh no, there we are. Now, I want to point this out. Before the show, Mike's camera was putting him in widescreen, so I had to recapture his image. Well, now he's not. So now Mike might look like a little squished little piece of something up there.
They put that pixie dust on my head and it shrunk everything down. I got a big head anyway, so it doesn't matter.
And I really don't want to go ahead and do a recapture right now while we're live. So
yeah, no, we're not going to do that. But yeah, it was another good show. And again, thanks for everybody for the support, because without your support, there's no reason for us to take time out and sit here and look at our ugly mugs. But just give you another quick shout. The next show is October 22nd. We will have Nish from Nish Patel will be on our next show, and that will be at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope that we get to see everybody on for that show. Should be a good time.
Definitely a good time. And like you were saying, I mean, you guys are our support. It's like, they're kind of like our jockstrap, really.
Well, at least Young Buck is. He's everybody's jockstrap. Well, he just doesn't know it.
Yeah.
So
he enjoys it, though.
Yes, he does. So, all right, buddy. Well, it was another good show. I want to thank everybody one last time, and we're going to get our asses out of here. And we'll see everybody in October 22nd. So thanks for joining us.
See ya.
See ya.